In this video lesson, I am going to explain conditional statements, or as we usually call them, if statements. Up till now, all our programs were linear programs, which means that they started from the first line and Java executed all the lines of code one after the other. However, in reality, when we are writing programs, usually we might need what technically is called as branching. Branching means that at a particular point the program might change the route of execution, and instead of continuing executing the lines, the following lines, it will execute lines of code which are elsewhere. The best way to understand this is by a simple example. So let's write a program that asks the user for his age. So I'm going to write a program which I'm going to name 8. This is the usual main. I'm going to include the scanner. And I'm going to write code, ask the user to enter his or her age. Now what I'm going to do is that, so let's get the age first. What I'm going to do is that I am going to check the user's age, and if the age is greater or equal to 18, the program will output that the user can drive. Otherwise, it will output that the user can't drive. I have decided to use 18 because in many countries, 18 is the driving age. So, in order to check the age of the user, we have to use the if statement, and in brackets, we have to write the condition. Now, conditions in programming are comparisons between a variable and a value, or between two variables or between two values, using the comparator operators. These comparator operators are, and I'm going to write them here, the is equal to, is not equal to, is greater than, is greater or equal, is less than, and finally is less than or equal. These are used in Java and in many other languages, and we have to use these comparator operators in order to do our conditions. So in our case, we have to compare age with 18 and check whether the age is greater or equal to 18. So if age is greater equal to 18, we write it like that. I'm going to output system.out.println you can drive. If I stop temporarily here from this program and I run it, if I give it that I am, for example, 33 years old, it will output you can drive. Otherwise, if I give it, for example, 12, it will not output anything. Let's do a breakpoint in order to test this program. May I remind you that a breakpoint is a point that we do in our program by clicking here on the line number. And what is going to happen is that instead of running the program in execution mode, we'll write it in debug mode. So instead of run file, I will click on run on debug file, and the program will stop here. Once it will stop here, we can watch the values of the variables and execute the line one by one. We have already done a similar exercise in program 4 when I was explaining variables for the first time. So I'm going to debug this file, and I'm going to give it as an input that I am 33 years old. And note that if I place the mouse pointer on age, it will show me that there is the value 33 in age. But if I highlight this condition, age greater or equal to 18, if I place the mouse pointer on it, it will show me that it is true. So the condition holds. This means that if I run the next line, it will output this one, you can drive. So if you look at the green line, if I click on step, it will execute you can drive, as you can see here. Now if I stop the program and do it the other way around, so debug file, but I'm going to give it now that I am 12 years old. So age is 12. If I highlight this condition and I place the mouse pointer on it, it is showing me false. So if I click on step over, it will skip this because it is the if statement resulted into false. So if I click there, the green arrow skipped, the green line skipped that statement. Now, what if we want to output you cannot drive? To output you cannot drive, we can do an else statement, so that if this condition doesn't hold, Java will execute the else part of the statement. So here I am going to write else system.out.println you cannot drive. If I run the file now, if I give it that I am 33, it will tell me you can drive. If I give it 12 years, it will tell me you cannot drive. Now, if we do the same exercise of debugging, when I give it 33 and the condition holds because it's true, because age is 33, which is greater or equal to 18, note that it will output you can drive and skip the you cannot drive. On the other hand, if I do the same program, but this time we give it 12 years old, age is 12, so this condition doesn't hold, so the if part is skipped and instead the else part is executed. If you look at the green line, when I click on step over, it executes you cannot drive. And therefore it outputs you cannot drive. Now, what if we want to output the statement system.out.println use public transport for those that can't drive? If we do this, system.out.println use public transport, we already have a yellow line underlining the statement, suggesting that there is something which might be wrong. Remember that a yellow line is a warning. Now let's run it. If we run this program, if we give it that we are 12 years old, it will tell us you cannot drive, use public transport. It seems that it is working, but technically it isn't working. In fact, if we run the program again and we give it 33, it will tell us you can drive. It will still tell us use public transport. The reason being that if we do a breakpoint there and run it again and give it 33, although this condition holds, if I click on step over, it will execute this line, but then it will skip the else part and continue from here. So it will output use public transport. So in other words, only one statement, one line of code is related to an if or to an else. This line is not related to the else. What if we want to relate both lines to the else? This is possible by creating a scope. May I remind you that a scope is a block of open curly bracket and close curly bracket. So if I open a curly bracket there and I close it there, so I have encapsulated these two lines in a block. Now if I run the program and I tell it that I am 33 years old, it will tell me you can drive. If I tell it that I am 12 years old, it will tell me you cannot drive, use public transport. So it is working correctly. It is a good practice to always use curly brackets with if statements. In fact, I suggest that even here, although we have only one line, we should open the curly brackets there and close them there. Like this, we will have a program that code-wise is much more organized.